Alright guys, welcome back to Little Man Big Conversations. I am extremely honored to have the guy who first taught me how to bump, how to sell, and hey, he was the first wrestling guy that almost made me shit myself. He is the intimidating force known only as AsHe, and he's here with me today. AsHe, how are you, man?
I'm alright, how are you?
Intimidated.
Why?
Because it's AsHe.
I'm a lovely individual.
Well, to me at least.
Ask my parole officer, he'll tell you I'm great.
He hasn't been heard of in quite some time.
Yeah, no, you gotta find it, you'll need a shovel.
Man, for those that are listening to this podcast, some of them may know, through the stories that I've told in previous episodes on this podcast, may know of my history with you, but firsthand, do you remember me coming into the gym and joining IPW many, many, many moons ago?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
And how was that for you? Because I remember, and I wasn't...
I basically thought, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, look,
this guy dances, he's not going to be a wrestler.
Yeah, no, that's you're definitely on the money for that one, because I remember thinking, hey, Blaze took me to training, he had his debut match with you, which is the one I went and saw, and I thought, I had this high school sort of vision and dream with him to always be him being the wrestler and me being the manager, and I thought, man, if there ever was an opportunity to do this is going to be the time. And for some reason, I don't know why, I cannot clarify why I thought this, but I did think it. I think maybe I thought, hey, if I wear my gigantic red jumper, the one that I wore while dancing, and I wear it to training, they'll know who I am. And that way it'll kind of be like, oh yeah, he was on that show and did that funny thing that we all maybe saw. I realized walking in with that jumper, that was probably the biggest target on my back with a neon Las Vegas sign saying, get a load of this loser, because no one cared. But I remember walking in with Blaze. I remember sort of dodging the glances of everyone sort of being like, WTF is this? And I always remember going into Hawk's little office with Blaze and him saying, hey Hawk, this is my mate James. He wants to join up. And I was like, hi. And I remember he spun around, he took his glasses off and he goes, oh yeah, the fucking dancer. And I'm like, no.
You're talking about that great big red flanny with the flash on it?
Yeah, that huge jumper I had for years. Yeah, I don't know where it went. I moved house many years ago and no idea, just gone. I still have the shoes, I still have the shirt, but that jumper lost to the ether. But in going back on what I said, I always remember that, like, your impact on my career, because you were the first one to fight my friend on a live event, and I remember thinking, he's dead. He's got no chance. Do you remember that show?
Honestly, probably not. If I think about it, I probably could.
Yeah.
It's as you said before, I had to be reminded actually who won.
yeah, you won. You ended up winning.
Yes, that's cool. That's a one in the column for me. That would have been at the Bicentennial Centres shows we did.
Yeah,
we had a proper backstage area with like makeup lights and stuff like that.
Yep.
And did we have the barricade fencing at that point, or just the tables?
I think there was fencing around the entrance, but we had the curtains shut, so you could just see the entrance. But there was the commentary desk, there was the curtains, there was the entrance, and I think the rest of the doors were just sort of locked, like you couldn't get in by the outdoor entry or something like that.
The thing I do remember is that you getting up doing the dance off.
Oh, Jesus, you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Did you see that?
I saw that. I was, I think I'd already faced Blaze by that point.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd gone out around the back and was hanging around the back at like the entrance.
Yeah.
Where people came in, I was hanging around there looking, and this very short little man in a bright red, gigantic flash zip-up hoodie.
Yeah.
Dancing to Michael Jackson.
Yes.
And the only thing I went, what the fuck is going on?
I'm sorry, it was literally my first day.
But after that, okay. Well, you can dance. I can't dance.
Yeah. That was my first exposure to wrestling, and I quickly joined up. I think pretty much the next time it was available. I think maybe even the Monday, and it was the longest Sunday of my life. And I remember joining on Monday, coming in with that jacket, and just being like, "Why did I wear this jacket?" But in saying that, I always just envisioned myself as a manager, and it wasn't until Blaze got accidentally hurt one show that the idea came about where, hey, maybe his manager should wrestle. Now, like I said, I never thought I'd ever wrestle. I just thought I'm going to manage because I didn't think, with the amount of talent that was there and the history that company had, I just never thought a guy my size would have a place in there. And that wasn't what anyone was doing.
Remember the slogan on the back? Because your size doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, that wasn't, like I said, that wasn't anyone else's doing. No one else made me feel like that. I was feeling like that because I was like, I thought it would be like even insulting to start. But as luck would have it, I started watching the training, and I think yourself and Sweet Ass were hosting the training at that point. But I definitely remember being in the ring with you and starting to go through that system where we all lined up and were doing the bumps and things like that. And I had my famed come to Jesus moment where I bumped and I went, "Oh God," and you just went, "Yeah, welcome to wrestling."
Did I do the typical thing after you bumped and you sit there gasping for breath? I say, "Oh yeah, breathe out when you hit the mat."
Yeah. That lovely safety instruction after the fact.
Yeah, I do it on purpose. You know that, don't you?
Oh, thank you. 12 years later, now I know you do it on purpose.
On purpose. Let's see if this person knows how to take a bump. Oh, yeah. Breathe out when you hit the mat. Oh yeah, and then you have to go bang and breathe out, and then you and you say, "Oh yeah," and you need to tuck your head just a little bit.
Yeah, that was it. That was exactly what happened. I bumped. A little bit winded, and was told after to breathe out. But it was actually I tell I tell this in one of the episodes. I think it's the second episode of this podcast where I say two of the first people to actually go to Hawk at that time and say, "Hey, you need to see his impressions because they're on point." One of them was you, because I remember doing it during the end of training. I think we had I vaguely remember free time happening at the end of training where it was like, okay, muck around with the bag. There's something you want to learn that's not the fundamentals. We can, depending on how safe it is or how advanced it is on your skill level, maybe we'll learn it.
Playtime.
Yeah, playtime. And I think I did either the pedigree or the spine buster, this gigantic blue boxing bag, and I remember you laughing, being like, "That was pretty on point." And then shortly after that, Hawk came out and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, I remember you being like, "You need to see this," and I did it. And then Hawk just laughed and he said, "You want to do that in the show?" Okay. He goes, "Cool. Next show, you're fighting instead of Blaze because he's hurt." Awesome. So that was my first. Hey?
Who did you face?
So Blaze managed me, but he couldn't work because he was hurt. So it was me with Blaze managing versus the Mighty Hercules with Kelso Cajones. Yeah. So we did a little 3-stint chapter with those guys. And that was crazy. But I remember shortly after that, I think it was 2 shows later. So I had that match. The next show I impersonated Steve Austin. And the one after that, I think, was the one where that sort of broke the mold for you, because I remember doing it, coming back to the curtain, and the first 2 people I see were you and Scorn, and I'd never seen you smile up until that point, but you had this Cheshire Cat grin going, "That was fucking awesome." Do you remember what I did on that show?
You did a taker.
Yeah. and I hit a damn tombstone as well.
That was I know. It was in that. He was wearing the bright orange jumpsuit.
Spider Sam, that's it. Yeah, so I did that, but that was the beginning of my career, man. And obviously now we ain't in 2008. We're here 12 years later, and the groan of approval. But you've always been, professionally and personally, you've always stuck around and helped me out. So it's kind of weird now, in the best way possible, to sort of sit here now 12 years later and be like, "Hey, did you ever think that I'd make it a week?"
No. The only reason I got told to be nice to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Don't break him.
Oh.
That was horse words, don't break him. Fine.
Wow. Was that...
And that was like, I won't break him. And then a couple of sessions I went, I'm not going to break this bastard.
Yeah. This is this is lovable 4'10" rapscallion. Yeah. No, I never knew that. Was that when I started in-ring training?
Yes.
Okay, so...
You've been around for a little while.
Okay.
When you actually got in the ring and started taking the bumps and learning the moves and chaining stuff like that, yeah. Well, so I said, I know you can be a bit of a prick sometimes, Ash. Just be nice to him. Fine. Fine.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think that was shortly after the kid Haywire that I chokeslammed a bit too hard because he was giving me the shits.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were just doing like training and stuff and doing bits and pieces, and he wasn't working. He wasn't working, and he wasn't selling, and he wasn't doing anything. And I pulled him up and said, "If you don't do it, you're going to get hurt."
Right.
And his response was, "Yeah, whatever, man."
Oh.
So I whipped him off the ropes, grabbed him, picked him up, and chokeslammed him that hard onto the mat that he collapsed a lung and never came back.
Okay. Good enough reason to not come back. Yeah, there was definitely some times that...
It was a little after that I got told, don't hurt it. Don't break anything, car.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad that I was... Because wasn't there two Haywires? There was a younger kid that had, like, the green and black.
No, that's him.
That was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Because he was after... He was after me, yeah.
Okay.
So it must have been...
Must have been someone else there.
Yeah, because... Anyway, but yeah, so that situation... I never knew that story. I never knew you were sort of given, I guess, a memo from the boss being like...
Boss, I like this guy. Don't break him. No worries, I won't.
Cool. Well,
as I said, 3-4 sessions in, you're cool.
Yeah. Because I remember that DVD you did, and it was ironically done with Blaze. I think he came back to do like that university assignment. He filmed that DVD.
Yeah.
And I still have that clip, and he asked you in the DVD, he goes, what do you think when Flash started? And you're like, oh, that's right. You said, oh, I liked him. It was something different. And then he asked you, what do you think of him now? And you're like, he's an awesome dude. And then you said, anyone who says otherwise, I'll beat the crap out of you.
Yeah. I stand by that.
Oh, thanks, man. I don't. No. So that was the beginning of the origins of how we met each other. And yeah, like I said, 12 years later, I left the company in 2013, but we stayed in contact. We managed to sort of sporadically do like one-off appearances or shows together in other federations, but it wasn't until 2019 where I'd come back and done that reunion show, did a Christmas show, and then finally inducted back home into the graces of IPW in January of 2020. And yeah, I was saying this to a few of the other people I've interviewed. I feel like IPW is that one place where you could have an infinite time away, but you know that as soon as you come back, a lot of the time it's pretty much that vibe of you just pick up where you left off.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we'll get into it in more detail in a moment, but specifically for you at that point, there wasn't a lot of guys that you had started with or had sort of made sporadic appearances. I think like at some point like Dallas had come in and a few other people had sort of made appearances, but it wasn't until the famous 2010 reunion show where like a lot of people from, arguably without using a better term, a lot of people from yesteryear came back and did that one-off show.
Yeah. I faced Mason on that show.
Yeah, you did.
Time limit with draw.
Yeah.
Never won a match. I've never beaten Mason.
Oh, really?
Never.
Well, I'll make sure to let him know.
I faced him twice. He's beaten me. No, he's faced me 3 times. He's beaten me twice, drawn once.
Yeah.
Never a win. Son of a bitch.
How was it for you for that show? Because I know a lot of the guys that I've interviewed were the ones that were coming back. Like guys like Jethro, guys like BJ, Blade, guys like Mason. They were all,
Zorro.
yeah,
Zorro was there as well. Kelso.
yeah. So these guys were coming back in, and a lot of them were some of them were feeling nervous. Some of them were like, this feels like old times, like within 10 seconds. How was it for you being like one of those original guys to still be in that company, but then be told, hey, all these guys that pretty much you started with or pretty much broke your career in with were coming back now close to almost 10 years later. What was that like for you in that show?
So I liked it because there's always, it sounds weird, like the locker room really isn't ego driven at all.
Yeah.
We get told that a lot by people that come from other feds and come from overseas and do something like that. Just to say, there's no ego back there. Everyone gets along.
Yeah.
Pete made mention of it a couple of times, and Josh says as well. Basically, the feds are mafia, and your family. You may leave for a bit, but you're always when you come back, you're still welcome as if you were there yesterday.
Yeah.
As with all the guys that came back for the reunion show in 2010, I had no malice against them. All of them I still spoke to. I was still friends with.
Yeah.
I'd go to their shows in the rival fed and support them and speak to them after the shows and this was good, I didn't like that. But yeah, no one sort of ever left the fed and no one's ever left and been sort of like bad blood towards me, so
yeah,
I don't hold anything against them.
Yeah. So it was good to sort of see all these guys again after so many years.
See them and catch up with them and jump around the ring and get thrown to the ground by them. So it's very it's just good to sort of have a play fight.
Yeah.
It was good to get in there and mix it up again with guys you haven't seen or been in the ring with for years.
Yeah, and like you said, you happened to fight Mason. I think that was before he went to Japan. I think the first time, or he was looking at going.
I don't think he'd been yet.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it was. Well, yeah, he was still. I think he still owned PWQ at that point.
Right. Yeah. So all these guys had come back. You had been one of the originals to stick around, and
no, literally me and Matt the last originals.
Yeah, pretty much. And would Scorn be considered, or is he sort of just after?
I think Scorn came in. It would have been Scorn came in about 3-4 years.
Yep.
I'd been there already 3-4 years before Scorn came in. But no, when I joined up, it was still the first name that Pete had.
Yep.
Which was WCW Australia.
Yep.
It wasn't until we did the first real major impact show at the Sharks, I think we changed to MIW shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
Scorn came in a little while after that, I think it was.
Right, okay. So you guys were definitely the originals. So that was Scorn's arrival, but talk to me about your arrival, because you weren't always based up here where we are now, were you?
I moved up here in 98 from Victoria.
Right, okay.
And down there I watched wrestling, but I didn't partake in it. And the only time I ever saw any advertisement or posters for any wrestling shows was basically after the date of the show.
Yeah.
Before then, I'd watch WWE and I'd watch WCW and TNT Network and things like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much, and then have to wait for the pay-per-views to appear at the Blockbuster video.
Yeah. Your
cool.
VHS tapes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's December. We should be getting the May show now. That's sort of basically how the pay-per-view would have been 6 months ago, but you'll go and rent it even though you know exactly what happened because they've recapped it for the past 4 months.
Yep.
That was sort of basically and I think the only posters I ever saw down in Victoria were for MCW or something,
yep.
and AWF. The only two ones I ever saw posters for down there.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, that was basically, and the same thing. I only ever saw the posters after the show. I was like, and without the internet and things like that back then, 'cause it was in its infancy, you couldn't find out more about them. So there was no Facebook pages, there was no website to go and visit, there was nothing.
Right, so you saw the posters of the shows, but what was the first time that you remember seeing wrestling? Was it as a kid or was it later on?
Kid,
yeah.
The first wrestling I saw was WrestleMania 1.
Wow.
Via satellite.
Wow.
At a friend's house.
Wow.
Because that family friend, they were quite well off. And,
Yep.
yeah, basically we've gone over to this big event's going, wrestling, blah, blah, blah. So we've gone over and, yeah, watched WrestleMania being live via satellite.
Yeah.
To this colossal dish he had in the backyard. It was that size of a small car.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah, that was the first time I saw it was live, or as live as it could be by satellite. Yeah, the first WrestleMania. And I remember as a kid watching it going, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then the only other time wrestling appeared on TV at all was like Saturday mornings.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I can't remember, like only for an hour, and it's basically was some highlights of bits, and then you see one match, and that was it.
Right.
And normally most of the highlights would all be sort of like, I'll say, Hogan versus Steamboat, and this versus him, and the only match I saw in full would be someone like King Kong Bundy versus Three Dwarfs. And you're like, I'd rather watch the Hogan one.
Yeah.
Or I'd rather see Piper doing stuff. I want to see a 400-pound man sit on 80-pound people. But that's what you got to see, so.
Yeah. So it wasn't until 99 when you
98 when I moved up here.
98, okay. So it wasn't until 98 that you moved up here. Did you move up here to follow wrestling, or you just needed a bit of a sea change?
I moved up here to escape what was going on down there.
Right, okay. So you got out of Melbourne and was just feeling a bit tiresome, a bit over it, and...
Not quite, more of I was like ended up dead.
Oh. Okay, well, yeah. Good reason to move.
Yeah, it is.
So you came up to Queensland and 98. How long was it then before you discovered what was then WCW Australia and you decided to, hey...
It was about, I think it was, that's less than a year before I actually found out there was, that's because I saw an advert in the local paper saying, had a photo of Hawk in his Hawk gear. It's WCWA.
Yep.
And then that was at the PCYC in Ashmore.
Yep.
And there was a picture of Hawk with his mask and everything on Raw. And I thought, I want to go check this out.
Right,
so
yeah.
Me and a mate went, we watched the show. No, this is pretty cool. No, I said, there's no pyros, there's no amazing lighting, but what was going on in the ring was cool. I really liked it.
Yep.
So I saw that. After the show, I spoke to a couple of the guys. One of the wrestlers was there. It was actually called Gravedigger.
Yeah.
He, I think his real name, I can't remember his real name was. Brad or Bart or something like that.
Okay.
He handed me a business card and go, you should come down and check out the training one day. I said, yeah, cool. No, might do that, yep. Thinking, no, we'll never do that.
Oh, really?
And then my mate goes, no, we should check it out. I don't know. So I was working nights at that point, being a security guard.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to have to end up, if I do this, I'm going to lose a day, one a night pay, because the training was only on in nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I thought, bugger it. Because basically you also convinced me, said, I don't want to go start alone. You've got to come with me,
Right, he wants to do it in camaraderie, yeah.
So we went, saw Pete and said, no, I basically handed the business card and said, Gravedigger gave me this and said I should come and speak to someone about joining up. And he looked at the card and went, what's this prick handing out business cards?
So he had no idea that there was a side operation of training cards going out.
And so that's how we got. Anyway, he goes, I'm Pete, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, the train's actually next door. No, it wasn't next door, it was in another section but close by.
Yeah.
Come back in about an hour and, I'll run you through everything like that. So, yeah, no worries. So we came back in about an hour and it was the ring that they had then was the one that was, the posts were cemented into the ground.
Wow, okay.
The mat ring itself was basically about 1-2 feet off the ground.
Yep.
With all the spring and stuff underneath. And no, it was the ring. But no, the glass fronted shop thing in this little car parked area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So only basic Pete said, this is Troy, he's my son, he'll talk you through everything, see you later, and walked off. And so Troy basically gave us the spiel of this is what we do, this is what you'll be doing, this is how much it costs.
Yep.
Any questions? It's like, no.
Right.
Where do we throw money? Sort of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, so that was the introduction to it, and basically did that, and he said, no, training, I think training was only on Tuesdays and Thursdays at that point. And he said, well, come in Tuesday, 6 o'clock, and we'll see how you go. No worries. And then, no. That's where I met guys like Jackaroo, Sweet Ass, Monk, Big Bill Allard.
Right. And they were all there at that time before you?
They were all there. They were there before. I think Matt had actually joined like 5-6 months before I did. So.
Oh, okay, cool. So was it not far in between?
I think they'd done like 4 shows beforehand, and that was it.
Oh, right, okay.
So that the very early days for that. Troll was there as well, because he was actually the one that convinced Pete to start doing wrestling in Queensland.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So were all the guys at that point training still, or were they all sort of learning at the same time?
Can
you remember if anyone had sort of prior experience coming in, or was everyone sort of...
No, pretty much everybody was trained. Everybody who was there was trained up from the get-go. It was their first introduction to pro wrestling was this.
Mm-hmm.
Was done via Pete and that. So.
Wow, so there's a lot of names there already before you rocked up that were starting to learn the ropes, as it would be, and starting to get their debuts on the shows. Mm. So how long was it then between you signing up? Did your mate stay with you? Or
he stayed.
Okay.
He stayed around. He hung around for a very long time.
Right. Okay. So how long was it then before you were told, hey, your skill set's improving, you're gaining confidence in that ring? How long was it then before signing up did you get on the first show?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, really?
Yeah. Because I already knew how to fall, I already knew how to bump, and I knew most of the moves. Like most of the simple holds and things like that I already knew, because I was a security guard who was also... I was licensed to be a bouncer, crowd control, security guard with weapons, and personal security. So I knew how to grab someone and twist them around.
Right.
But knowing how to fall straight off the bat was very good, because that came from doing karate for a bit of Wing Chun, judo, and other things.
Yeah.
I already knew how to fall down without hurting myself, so pretty much that was, he knows how to do this.
Yeah.
The first training session, I've taken bumps and stuff like that. And then the next one, that says, how'd your neck feel? Fine.
Right.
Because why? It says, I don't know how to fall.
Okay. So you had
I had
almost like
I had 4 training sessions before I was put into getting a squash match, or I was getting squashed.
Right.
In a match. And basically, as long as I knew how to fall, that's all I needed to know. And I was on shows ever since.
Wow. So you were sort of already into contact sport at that point before doing security work? Did you enjoy those processes, or?
The only one I really liked was judo.
Okay.
The other ones, I don't like punching things, because there's a good chance that you can break your own hand.
Right.
But grabbing something or someone and being able to throw it to the ground so it doesn't get up again, that's a good advantage to have.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you had the holds from security work. You had the break falls from judo.
Yeah. And
so you had
everything else.
Yeah. So you were 2 weeks in. Was that bizarre? Were you told?
Yes.
On the second week.
It's basically there was a show on the weekend.
Right.
And I was told on the Tuesday.
Wow.
Can you have a costume?
Okay.
Oh, what what I'm doing.
Right.
And I said, we're going to give you this gimmick. Can you make something up in the next couple of days and be on the show? And I said, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, let me know what you have by Thursday. And if it's up to scratch, and you're in. Okay, cool.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Is this the origins of who I think it is?
Yeah, and I hate that fucking character.
Can I say the name or no?
Yeah, I'll let you get away with it because I like you.
Okay. Yeah. That was the sound of a can opening, not a knife switchblade. So was this the origins of Pepe?
Pepe.
Pepe. Pepe.
That's French.
Okay.
I'm not French.
All right. I'll do it again.
Pepe the clown.
Right. This is the origins of Pepe the Clown. Now, who came up with that name and that idea? Was that yours or was that contrived from...
That was Pete. All Pete.
Right.
Everything about that character was the Hawk.
Okay.
He wanted it. I didn't.
So he said, can you get a costume? And you said, yeah, what do you want it to look like? And that's when he pitched it to
He
you?
I want you to be a clown.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't want to be a clown. He goes, doesn't matter what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want you to be a clown. You're going to be a clown.
Yeah, you had no legs to stand on. Yeah. What are you going to barter with? I'll leave. All right, leave. Damn it.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Okay, so he came up with the concept and the name. It was all like, yep. Just, that's it.
Everything was his idea about it.
Right, okay. And
Except what he looked like, which I came up with.
okay. So that character happens, and how long do you keep that gimmick for?
I had that gimmick for maybe a year.
Right, so
And I did like maybe 6-7 shows as that character, and that was it.
right, so this is what now the tail end of '99.
No, this would have been into the 2000s.
Right, okay, so we've hit the Y2K. We're in the 2000s. You're starting to go, yeah, I'm not really feeling this character now. It's sort of not.
Well, when I finally convinced Pete to let me change character.
Oh, you really had to negotiate
I
with
had to
him.
negotiate with Pete.
Wow,
What to
okay.
change, and then he goes, "Oh no, you're really over." I don't care if I'm over. I don't. It's not me. I hate this.
Yeah.
And he said, basically, turned around and goes, "Fine. Tell me, basically, what do you want to be?" And I said, "I don't know, but I don't want to be this anymore."
Yeah.
I said, "I really hate this." And he said, "Fine. Come up with something. Let me know pitch it to me, and we'll see how it goes." So I came up with basically the physical appearance, face paint, costume. I had everything, but I didn't have a name for myself. It doesn't really matter yet. Mm-hmm. But I haven't got a name yet, but this is what I basically want to do. And he sort of yummed and ahed for a bit, and then he finally turned around and said, "Fine. Give it 6 months, and if it doesn't work, you're going back to being the clown." I said, "If it doesn't work in 6 months, I'm walking out the door."
Really?
I said, "I really don't want to go back to being that fucking thing."
Right, okay.
And I went, "Fine, 6 months." Anyway, 6 months then basically becomes 18 and a half years later, and
Wow.
still Ash.
So were those shows weekly back then, or were they monthly?
When I first started, we did shows every 3 months. We only did
3 months?
Four shows a year.
Was that out of Southport?
That was at Southport Stadium. And then when I started, it was that. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, we went to monthly. No, it was bi-monthly, like every 2 months we did a show. Then it was monthly.
Yep.
Then we went, for some unknown reason, bi-weekly.
Okay.
And we went back to monthly.
Right, okay. So, yeah, you were told 6 months. Where did the concept for you, for the Ash character, generate from? Was it from an influx of, like, horror movies and pop culture and comics, or was there something that was different that you went, hey...
Horror movies and things like that I like.
Yep.
But the fact of I was a huge Taker fan,
Yep.
like Sting.
Yep.
That's what I look like.
Okay.
That's it. When I first started, I used to wear contact lenses as well, but that went sour on me at one point and nearly cost me an eye.
What, really?
Yeah.
So you had the origins of Ash, you were in contacts.
I used to wear whiteout contacts.
Yeah, and then, what, it just went wrong one match?
I know I had an injury in my eye due to work.
Did what? Okay. Security still at this point?
No, I think I was doing building at this point. I was carpentry.
Okay.
I was doing something and I ended up getting like a face full of concrete dust and wood shavings and stuff.
Oh, man.
And
when you said construction, I was like, hey, is someone throwing beams at you or something, man?
No, I was putting something down and not knowing that inside was a hollow that people had just been filling up with rubbish.
Right.
I pulled it down and a couple of face full of
yep.
building scraps, nails and everything like that.
Yep.
And something had actually scratched my eye.
Okay.
And then putting contact lenses in pretty much makes a petri dish for disease. If they're not perfectly clean.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I had been a bit slack, hadn't cleaned mine, and I ended up with what they call a Pseudomonas carotis ulcer. Grew in my eye, and it ate a large section of lens, left me with a lot of scar tissue in my eye. But if it had grown to 1 centimetre in diameter, they were going to cut my eye out.
Jesus.
Due to the fact of then the virus is big enough and strong enough, it'll travel up your optic nerve and start eating your brain.
Wow.
It got to 0.8 of a centimetre. I had 1 mil basically around it. If it had grown 1 mil wide, in I think it called in radius by 1 mil, they would have cut my eye out. And sometimes I wish they had because it hurts.
Wow.
I can't take bright lights or lasers flickering on.
So the clown at this point doesn't seem too bad, all things considered.
I didn't wear freaking contact lenses. But in saying so, the clown wasn't me.
Yeah.
AsHe is me. Although it's AsHe is me turned up to 11.
Sure, yeah.
I'm more AsHe than I am that freaking clown.
Yep, that guy, yeah.
That guy.
Yep.
But yeah, the person that came up with the name AsHe, because I didn't have a name.
Right.
Because when I started AsHe, the show we were doing up with Win and Manly, and I can't remember who I faced. I faced someone. I think it was BJ played or something for one match.
Yep, okay.
And then I quickly went backstage, changed into AsHe, washed the face off, all of the clown face paint on, put the other one on, got the colour out of my hair, and it was the character then was Weird One, was in the ring against Harley Seth, and I came out to save Weird One from being beaten to death by Harley Seth, who's another guy who was there, one of the originals as well.
Yep.
And that basically, I've come out and I think it was Mr. J. What's going on? Who are you? Are you? No, you're Peppy the Clown. Why are you dressed like this? And I just said, Peppy's dead.
Yep.
And walked off. And that was the beginning. That was the debut of AsHe.
Right.
But I said I didn't have a name, and it was actually Grave Tavern that came up with the name.
Right. Okay.
Because he basically said, "What are you going to call yourself?" I have no idea whatsoever. And he just said, "Let me have a think about it." And then basically he went, "You're AsHe." I said, "Yes, AsHe with an E on the end." And I went,
Was that like derived from Evil Dead? That AsHe?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I actually think because in the second Crow movie, City of Angels, the character's name is AsHe with an E.
Oh, okay. So it's.
So I think that's where he came. That's a cool name. I want that.
Yeah.
But it'll do for you. So that's where AsHe as a name came from.
Right. So the concept of AsHe is born. You experiment with the overall. Was it the face paint? Like, were you happy with the costume at that point? It was just the paint?
The costume was fine apart from the original jacket I had was really heavy, really thick.
Yep.
And as I said, a lot of I've got like a couple of costumes now, but my first costume, jacket stayed on. It was a spandex, spandex, lycra sort of looking loose top, pants with a word down one leg which was written in Asante language, which is one of the clans of the vampire that no one notices.
Yep.
And on the other leg I had that upside down trident symbol I have.
Right.
On everything that no one's even picked up on.
Right.
Which I think is really weird. No one's ever, hey, that's on everything you had. No, I know. I had that, and it was on the back of the jacket as well. I wore the jacket all the time, but the jacket wasn't light. It was more of a thick cotton. So you'd be 2 minutes into a match and you were just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that was. What was I talking about?
The costume you were okay with the face paint.
I came with the face paint, and originally then it was I just whited everything out, and I used like a dark brown burnt sort of coloured eyeshadow, and basically would draw lines on my face.
Yeah.
And bang contact lenses in, and off I'd go. And as I said, Pete gave me 6 months, be AsHe, and so it was 6 months of being on a losing streak, and then another 6 months of still being AsHe, being on a losing streak, and then another 6 months being AsHe and being on a losing streak. When I started AsHe, because he was convinced I couldn't pull it off,
Right.
and I said it was almost 2 years before I won a match as AsHe that he finally believed, okay, we can do this.
Wow.
Before then, everything was either a DQ finish by my fault or it was a clean pin on me.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, as with I think I got one or two photos somewhere of me with what I used to have on the face paint and stuff like that. Back when I started, I think there's one photo of my first time that I did the makeup, and I'll look at it now and go, "That's pathetic." And compared to what I do now, that's a sad attempt. Who the hell are you?
Yeah. So you've come up with AsHe. He's given you 6 months. How long is it then before? Most famously, you're known for teaming up with Scorn and Sorrow.
And no, before that it was me, Sorrow, and Lara Love.
Right. So this is the original incarnation of.
No, the actual first appearance of the Carnival of Darkness.
Yep.
Was a tag match at Sharks for Major Impact 2, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And it was me and Weird One. And people were going to put you and Weird One together. You're going to be a tag team. We're going to call you the Carnival of Darkness because of the back history of you guys apparently being from the circus and stuff. I said, yep, all right, no worries, cool. We did the match and it sucked.
Right.
Like, the two guys that we got put up against was Frost, but not the Frost we have now.
Sure, yeah.
A different Frost, and it was Frost and Maverick. And these were two spot monkey guys that could do amazing spots and nothing else.
Okay.
So we got a job to these guys because they're going to be big. Okay, no worries. So they did that show, one other, and then disappeared.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, me and Weird One did the job, did what we were supposed to do, went backstage, and people went, "That was shit. You guys aren't going to do this no more." So I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're not tagging you guys up again. That's it. The Carnival idea's gone." Okay, cool. No worries. Go on to the next show.
Well, so he was over it already.
That was it.
Wow.
It was over it straight away. It was the first time. Didn't work. We didn't have any chemistry together.
Okay.
Anyway, it was a couple of years, about a year or so later, we were doing a show in Southport, and I can't remember what the show was. I think it was me. It was a mixed tag match. Me and Sarah J versus Lara Love and someone else.
Okay. Yep.
And we got told, yeah, we're doing it, blah-blah. I said, you guys are going to lose. Yeah, okay, no worries, I don't care. No, been losing for 12 months, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then he's, at the end of the match, I want you to grab Lara and drag her off.
Okay.
I said, why? He goes, you'll find out. Okay, no worries. End of the match. And this is, of course, I'm tagged up with Sarah J. Mm-hmm. At the end of the match, we lose. I jump, whoever the guy was, I can't remember. Sarah J jumps Sarah J jumps Lara Love from behind. Bang, knocks him down. I grab Shannon, drag her out of the ring, put her over my shoulder and go.
Right.
The next show, I'm basically, what the point of that was. He goes, I'm going to tag you and Lara Love up. I said, why? He goes, because she said she wants to turn heel and be a good example. So she wanted to go a bit sort of gothic-y.
Okay.
So that was the start, was me and Shannon as a mixed tag. We weren't called the Carnival at that point. And we did one show. People said, give it one show, see how it works. We did one show and we gelled good because Shannon's cool. I like Shannon. She was always friendly to me.
Yep.
Did good, did well. After the match, he goes, I like that. I'm going to keep you two together. He goes, we might chuck that other new guy in. What new guy? Sorrow, Garth.
Right.
Like, cool. So Garth got brought in, and then it was three of us, and then it was me, Garth, and then basically and Pete said, going to use that Carnival of Darkness name again, and I'm going to put it on you guys. Okay, cool. So that's where it was me, Sorrow, and Garth for quite a few months, and then we brought, then Scorner came into the mix.
Yep.
Scorn came in originally as my bodyguard,
Okay.
and the only person I know, a bodyguard who actually had a valet.
Best of both worlds.
It's like, I've got a bodyguard and my bodyguard's got a valet. No, that makes no sense. But yeah, he came in and then she came in pretty much the next show. But me and Shane could tag on it, and we must have convinced people really well that me and Shannon were an item, because we do, like, a match would go on, let's say Sorrow was in a match, and we'd be out there and we'd dance and flirt and with each other and act as if we were a couple or in a relationship. We weren't.
Yeah.
We never were that way.
Yep.
But we put that across to people. And I remember we had a Wheel of Fate match.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to Pete. I said, what happens if I get rolled up with Sorrow or Shannon? That won't happen.
Oh, no.
And the first match was AsHe versus Lara Love. And I thought, this is... Oh, man.
no.
And like, it was first roll AsHe. My music's played. I've walked out, got in the ring and thought, it's going to be one of the two. I know it's going to be one of the two. Spin the wheel, tick, tick, tick. Lara Love. And I've gone, oh, man, what am I going to do?
Wow.
And she's come out with the thought, I don't know, what the hell? And she's come in and basically got in close to face, and she just goes, hit me, but be sorry about it. And I said, got it. So any move I do to her, bang, and immediately, if I knocked her down, I'd immediately drop to my knees and, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, please forgive me. And she just turned around straight and clocked me in the face or pushed me away.
Yeah.
And we did that for the entire match, and it worked.
Okay.
And so that was fun.
Yep.
But then when Shannon left...
What year was this? What year did she leave?
This was just before, I think it was, I can't actually remember the date. It was just a little while after the Dog Riot show, which I can't remember the date of that was. But she...
2002, 2003?
Probably 2000, would be around 2003, maybe late 2000 or early 2004, maybe something like that.
Wow, okay, yeah.
And yeah, so when she did leave...
Yep.
I get people in the crowd going, oh, did you and Lara break up?
Wow, they fully bought into it.
And they really bought into it. And I thought, wow, we really pulled this off.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple of times I've lost contact with her just through distance and time and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But every now I did reach out to her at the for the 10-year reunion show and said, I'd love it if you could come.
Yep.
And she replied back with, I can't. So I can't get the time off work, or she couldn't get the available time to come up and do it. Even though she wanted to. And I think that was 10 years ago now. I think I only corresponded with her about 2 or 3 more times after that, and then she just I've lost contact with her completely.
Yeah.
Just sad, because I like Shannon. She was fun.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the original version of the Carnival Darkness. It started with Weird One, didn't gel. Then maybe a year down the track, hey, we got Shannon, Lara Love, and we got Sorrow, Garth.
Yeah. And then, so Scorn came in, and I think also then he brought in, then it started getting weird. We got...
Man, you already got a security guard and a valet. How much weirder can it get?
like, Coyote came in, Saddam came in, Checkers came in.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 3 or 4 more others, and I'm like, what the hell's going on, Pete?
Right.
He goes, or making a big faction versus another big faction. I'm like, okay, cool, I can get with the idea of big faction warfare.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden bang, it stopped. I was like, what happened? And he goes, oh, the person who was in charge of the other faction, which was called One Enterprises, which was Weird One, didn't want to do it anymore.
Okay.
So then the carnival then shrunk again. But yeah, we ended up with half the roster was basically us. The other half of the roster was either Weird One or Weird Enterprises or a solo individual.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where when we were doing all that stuff, the warfare, and when we first started, and basically we'd beat up people for the hell of it. It was fun. And that's when I've had the first cargo net match against Saxon.
Yeah, Chris Saxon, yeah.
I love Saxon, he's awesome. The most unlucky man in the universe, I swear.
So you do a cargo match with Chris Saxon, who was arguably, and to this day, still one of the most charismatic performers I've ever seen.
And instant heel.
He would generate heat like nothing else. It was nuts.
He was a nicely, good definition, well built, blonde hair, blue-eyed bloke. Basically, when he came out, people should cheer. He looked like a handsome, surfy guy. But yeah, behind this dude. And we started him off trying to be a face in the company.
Yeah.
But something happened. I don't know what it was or how it happened. All of a sudden, the crowd hated him. The moment he appeared, just boos. It got to one point, the moment his music started, people started screaming boo and hiss and F you and everything, all these obscenities, because they hated him so much. Like, he hasn't even walked out the curtain.
Wow.
What the hell's going on? And it's just that beginning with his music, boo, straight away. It was like, and he fell on that. He turned around and go, I'm going to go for I'm an arrogant bastard.
Yeah.
Everyone loves me. That was his idea.
Yep.
And so, yeah, me and Saxon had a couple of matches together, and he was always fun. He was, want to try this? Yeah, cool. Gnarly, let's do it. You might get hurt back here.
Oh, so he was up for anything.
Yeah, he was up for anything. That's a bit sweet. I'll go for that. Yep. You want to put me into what sort of shape? Cool. You want to try and make me shelve my own head? Yeah, cool. I'm into that, mate. So yeah, we did all that sort of stuff. I faced him a couple of times before, and we did cargo net match and a couple other bits after that. But, yeah, he was fun.
Yeah, man, he was. I think I joined just on the cusp before.
I think he'd actually come back for one or two matches when you did join.
Yeah,
he disappeared again.
Yeah, he came back because I remember seeing him. I think there was a stint there where he started doing some. I think one or two maybe at the Bicentennial Center. But I definitely remember when we transferred over to the training facility, he'd come back in. And he had the sparkly cane, and that blue glitter went fucking everywhere.
My original costume that I've had matches with him against still has glitter embedded in them. And you can sit there and bash it, and you can see this gold and blue glitter sparkles everywhere. And I'm like, God damn it, Saxon!
Man, every time I see blue glitter, I always hear his themes of that.
Yeah.
So you're having matches with Saxon. You had a cargo net match.
Yeah.
Which sounds bizarre. What's involved in a cargo net match?
It's a twist on a ladder match.
Okay.
Belts held up over the ceiling. You got to climb a cargo net, which is suspended above the ring.
Yeah.
And you need a chair. You need a chair or a ladder or something to actually get to the cargo net. You got to climb the cargo net.
Yep.
Grab the belts. Open.
Right.
That's how it works.
Okay.
It's just as I said, to twist it on a ladder match, just to give it a bit extra sort of thing. Yeah, I've taken part in two of those. One was against Saxon. The other one was, I think it was me and Sorrow versus the Kid, which is Mitch Finch back then. Yeah, the Kid.
Wow.
And Zero.
Okay.
He was called Checkers.
Yep. Then. So Mitch McCarthy and Zero.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Jesse.
Yep.
Was versing them, and I think that was the second one I did where I get down, and I nearly killed Mitch.
What?
I nearly killed Mitch with the table spot from the top, but
you planned a spot and it didn't go.
It didn't
perfect?
quite go.
Okay.
I've done it with Saxon.
Yeah.
Pulled it off a tee. Did it with the Kid, and it didn't quite come off the same, and he nearly ended up with a broken neck, but he was okay.
Well, yeah.
Essentially, there's a choke slam from the top.
Yep.
Of the cargo net through a table, and I've grabbed him, hooked him over holding on the rope, hooked him over my shoulder, and go to jump off.
Yep.
To go through the table and choke slam him through the table, and either the net wasn't tight enough, or we didn't time the launch at the same time, but we didn't get out away from the net quite enough.
Right.
To land square and safely on the table. So we've actually landed. I smashed the table with my shoulder. He smashed the table with the side of his head. Oh. We didn't actually land on the table. We landed on the edge of the table, and it bang and hit, boom. And I remember seeing him hit before I did.
Yep.
And I just bang, boom, and I'm doing the cell. Oh man, that hurt, and I look at him, and he wasn't moving properly. And I went, "Are you okay?" He's gone, "Yeah, just leave me here for a bit. I'll be right." And I'm going, "We can't. Next spot." And he went, "Fuck." But he was okay. But yeah, I was that split second of, because he said he basically, his head hit the table, the rest of his body didn't.
Right. Okay.
So I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah. So shortly after the 2 Cargo Net matches, what year are we in now? Are we in like 2005 at this point? 2006?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Okay. So you start doing shows out of the Southport, and then for a brief stint there, you took it back to. Well, did you stay at Southport, I should say, until you went to Nerang at the Bicentennial Centre? Or was there another venue in between?
We did a couple of shows here and there in different places like Cooper and Wavell and Winter Manly and things like that.
Yep.
But we pretty much, then we were doing shows at Southport, and then we took a bit of hiatus for a while because we had a big pile of people who just, "I'm too banged up, I can't do this anymore." They left, and that's when we trained up a big pile of new people, and we did a show at Southport RSL.
Yep.
And that was when we changed to IPW as well.
So the major impact had already happened at this point.
Major impact. We'd done the shows at Southport and at Southport Sharks. We did a couple of there, but then we went back to Southport Stadium, which is now gone.
Yep.
And we did shows there, junkyard bashes and everything else, and the dog riot and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, sorry, beach riot, not a dog riot. It was a beach riot that turned into a dog riot.
Right. Why did it turn into a dog riot? Was there little dogs there?
I'm not going into that.
Okay.
Suffice to say that incident gave rise to another wrestling company called XSE, which started in Queensland.
Okay.
For anybody who knows about that little incident that occurred and what the fallout from that, kudos to you. For those who don't know, I'm not telling.
Yeah.
That could be a story for another time for someone else to tell.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, we took a break for a while, and that's when we relabeled ourselves IPW, and that's when I went to more the skull face and the other purple black costume with the buckles and zippers and everything on it.
Yeah. Do you remember why the name change came about, or was it just an unspoken thing?
Because we'd done stuff with IPW in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We were major impact. We'd gone back and forth. And a couple of guys had gone to New Zealand. A couple of guys from New Zealand had come to us. We've done back and forth. And after the dog riot and everything like that had occurred, and some people had left, and we had a large group of new guys all join up at once.
Yeah.
Peeked in and said, "We're going to take a break, get these guys all trained up, and then burst out with something new." And I think it was Matt who came up with the idea of, why don't we join up with IPW New Zealand, and we can basically have their talent and our talent, and we can go back and forth and do shows back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
And typically umdenard, and then finally, it sounds like a good idea, so that's what we did.
Okay.
Because Chuck, the guy who originally was behind IPW New Zealand, had come and done shows for us, and Johnny Invincible had come as well, and a couple of other guys had come over as well and done shows with us. So we did that, and that's also where we came up with the idea of why the South Pacific title was what it was.
Yeah.
It was someone from if we've got hold of it, our title hold, the South Pacific title holder is in Australia. Someone from New Zealand has to come over, face them for it. If they win, they take the title back over to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. Then if we want to get the title back, we've got to send someone over to New Zealand, face them there, and then we can take the title back. Otherwise, it stays here until it gets the title holder gets beaten by someone from IPW Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the idea behind that.
Yep.
That's how sort of IPW came about. We came. Our first IPW show was at Southport RSL. Did alright, had good numbers, but unfortunately, one of the interstate talents we got stepped over the line and did some no-nos during his match, and so we were told, "You're not welcome back."
Right.
So that was also the birth of the table called Christine, that wouldn't die.
I remember that table. I remember that still being there when I joined up.
Yeah,
that really thick table.
It was a normal table.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a normal table with the bracing in the legs and everything like that it's supposed to have. But somehow this table survived. I think it was... I can't remember who was put on it. I think Cruz was on the table.
Okay.
And Sweet Ass and Island Boy on each corner.
Wow.
Jumped off, landed on the table, and all it did was bend and flick everybody off.
Wow.
And that table wouldn't die. Like it survived 4 or 5 like table ladder shares match, table match, this match, hardcore match. It survived and survived, and I think it only actually ended up breaking. I think through old age, but
wow.
Yeah, I can't remember who actually ended up breaking that table, but whoever it was, killed that curse. But as I said, it wouldn't die. It got guys would try everything. Now even I think it was Monk even tried to break it, and Monk was a big boy.
Yeah, he was.
Like you could break a surfboard over his head.
Jesus.
And he's done a running spear into it, and the guy ducked out the way, so he's just piled in it, and all the table did was just bend. Click.
Wow, it flicked the monk off as well.
Flicked the monk off. It's
That's
like, how the
nuts.
hell is this thing? We're going to get an exorcist. We're going to have to kill this table. But yeah, that was we did that show, and that was also shortly after that the first XSC show was as well.
Yep.
A lot of the guys from the first IPW show was the guys like Mason, Mark Davis, who's gone on, Sol, AJ Istria,
Yep.
guys like that were on us. They did that one show for us, and then they've done the split and gone and started PWAQ.
Right. Okay. So we're at this point in time. This is about 2007.
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So a bunch of them have decided, hey, we don't like what's going on here. We're going to leave. Do you remember that moment? Like, obviously there was a lot of upset in terms of like anger and annoyance and this sort of camaraderie.
There was no anger from me. Like, I basically, where'd they go?
Right. So you were unaware that this was even occurring at that point.
No, I didn't even know what was happening. Like, basically, they've done the one show, and then the next training session, like, none of the guys are there. Okay, cool. Next training session, still none of the guys are there. It's like, and I said, where the hell are they going? And Peter goes, they quit. And I said, and he goes, that's it. All right, no worries. Raw nerve, I'm pushing that.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of that unspoken rule that if Hawk didn't want to talk about something,
you left it alone.
Yeah, you definitely didn't push the issue. Okay, so now we're heading into 2008, and this is the part where little old me joins the fold. Now, you've talked about the dance-off earlier in the episode. We talked about coming in with a jumper, and we talked about eventually you and I becoming friends, but,
Debatable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us here.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. So I do that Undertaker match, and it was shortly thereafter that we did... I think it was a 2-stint show. We were talking just before we started recording at the beginning, and we were trying to work out whether it was a Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, but it was definitely a show before that, and it may have been... I think I had the Taker match that same show, but later on in the night, I'd come back out as myself to manage Blaze and Fury, the Rogues, against Pirates and Ninjas Are Totally Awesome, which was Pirate Burns and Ninja Fury. Yeah, and they had a match, and it was an awesome tag team match. But then I think it was the Sunday, we went up to Wynnum, and we had the camera set up there. I think we had a wheel. I'm not sure if every match was a wheel, but I think a couple of them are for a wheel.
Yeah, Wheel of Fate.
Yeah, I think it was for like maybe like a battle royal or something. It was a wheel battle royal, something like that. Anyway, you were telling me just before that there was a spot that I did on Pirate Burns that I don't remember. I remember the conversation backstage because I was still getting to know, like, you and I was sort of on the, like, we were talking, but we weren't like, calling up big friends like we are now. And I was still getting to know Matt. Scorn was kind of associated with you fully at that point, and anything that you laughed at, he laughed at. Yeah. Kind of knew Brandy, Alexander, and Bella, but I wasn't, like, really into it, like, into being their friends at that point. Like, I still was trying to break the ice with those guys. But yeah, Blaze, Fury were obviously my friends. You were starting to become a friend. And then I remember a conversation being like, hey, you should go out there and pirate the pirate. Do you remember this?
Yeah, the pirate. Well, getting someone to pirate is a kick in the shins.
Yeah.
And a poke in the eye, causing them to hold their leg, hold their eye, and hop around going, He said, you should do this to the pirate Burns. And you, oh, I don't know, maybe. And it's funny, me and Matt convinced you to do it, it'll be funny.
Yep.
So, cool. And we worked out the spot you're going to do it, this is going to be sweet. And it was good. The best idea was the fact you did it right where the camera was pointing, so we've got a clear view of this.
Always got an eye for that camera.
So we're backstage looking at the camera, and Pirate Burns was beating on, I think it was Blaze.
Yeah.
Actually. He'd done him dirty, beating on Blaze, and you've come running up behind him and you gave him like a smack on the back, like a forearm to the back, and he just turned around and basically did the whole thing of arms out. What are you going to do, little man?
Yeah.
And you kicked him in the shin and you poked him in the eye. And as I said, backstage, I'm sitting there and I'm laughing, and Sweet Ash just goes, he just pirated the pirate. And we watch you then duck under the ring. And then the Pirate Burns is selling what you've done, and he sort of stops selling and looks around because you disappeared.
Yep.
And I don't know if you'd planned it or it'd just been that's awesome timing. You popped back out when his back was turned. And you waited, and you stood there, and he's turned around, and the moment he turned around, you kicked him in the shin again, and you poked him in the eye again. And he ran off. And he's done the same thing, selling the poke in the eye, doing the pirates, doing another pirate.
Yeah.
And I remember turning to Sweet Ass, he goes, he double pirated the pirate. This is awesome. And Pete's just sitting there, and he went, that's stupid. Yeah. And I said, yes, and it's fucking hilarious. And me and Matt were pissing ourselves laughing, going, that's gold. I don't even know if we've got a footage of it or anything.
I don't know.
So me and Matt were fucking hysterics, laughing our ass off about this double pirating the pirate. Yeah. and when everybody's come back, and I think Pirate Burns goes, his head was, that was awesome. No one's ever done that before.
Oh man.
And I think yours was I didn't know if I fucked it up, so I thought I'd do the spot again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do remember that story now. Yeah, it was a suggestion from you guys of being like, hey, you should pirate the pirate. And I thought that Pirate Burns would get offended if I suggested it, because I didn't have the experience or the downright gall to sort of suggest spots to veterans, and that's sort of against the grain. But when it was overheard, and when it was, I think Pirate Burns even said to me at one point, he said, oh, because he was looking at Blaze and Fury, and they were obviously working out their match, and he goes, oh, do you do anything? Does your mate get involved? And I said, oh, sometimes. And he's like, well, if I chase after you, do you want to do something? And that's when I'm like, can I pirate you? And he goes, what's pirating? And I went, oh, I'm going to kick you in the shin and poke you in the eye. And he just looked at Ninja Fury. And Ninja Fury, I think his wrestling name now is Liam Fury. He was always super cool. Not to say that Pirate Burns was mean to me, but he was like, click straight away. And he was like, dude, and like, even he in his ninja mask was sitting there like vibrating. And I'm like, what's wrong with him? And he's like, he's laughing in there. And he's like, that's fucking, all he heard was, it was like Kenny from South Park. And you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. He was just vibrating on the spot like one of those like dancing Santas or something. And he's like, yeah, that's great, man. So I did it once.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I did it twice, sort of vaguely remembering now, I remember the people I did in front of the first time reacted, but I think I vaguely remember hearing on the other side of the building, not that it was a big building, but just the other side, someone being like, why are they laughing? What did he do? And I went, oh, okay, cool. Well, they obviously didn't see it. So I crawled into the ring, and it just so happened that when I crawled out of the ring, he had actually come, I think, to the center side of the ring. So he'd come around to pretty much near proximity to where I was, which just worked out perfectly. Yeah. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to do it again. And did it again. And then I literally was like, well, that's all I got planned. And then I just hid under the ring for like 90% of that match. Worst manager of the ropes ever. Do my stuff. and just smoke bomb out of there. But yeah, I remember that show, and yeah, then like we started sharing the locker room for quite a period of time there, and